everyone, it is Stephanie here with Infernal TV. I realized I have not done a video album review in a very long time. I've been posting more on the Infernal TV website, so go to www.infernaltv.com if you want more content. Otherwise, I do plan on releasing more video reviews, or I'm going to try to release as many video reviews as I can. But I figured for my first video review in a long time, figured I would start with a huge banger, the new Job for Cowboy. I guess, long story short, I feel like this album is what Sun Eater was supposed to be. Moon Healer, it really hits stronger, it really hits harder, faster, groovier. It's more obscure and weird. I dug it. I definitely dig it. I also feel if you're a Flesh Rot fan, you would really like Moon Healer. I think when Sun Eater came out, I think a lot of us, me included, kind of hoped it would have more of that Flesh Rot vibe, that style. But Moon Healer, it definitely has like the versatility and the technicality of Flesh Rot, and it's all over the place, but it's really cool. There is one thing I will say about Moon Healer, and also in the general direction that Job for a Cowboy is going in. I discovered Job for a Cowboy during the Doom EP. So I was a teenager, like just starting to get into extreme metal, and that EP was so pivotal for me, and also for a lot of other people who are getting into like death metal, deathcore, all that during that time. And I also really like Job for Cowboy more when they released Genesis, Ruination, Demonocracy, where they had more of a traditional death metal sound. And I think I also was really thrown off when Sun Eater came out, because they completely did like a 180 with their style, which I'm the type of person who welcomes when a band adopts like a different style. But I think specifically Sun Eater was just like, it was totally different direction. It threw me off. So I think with Moon Healer, I was kind of expecting them to continue that sound. I do wish there was a little bit more of some of the old material in their in this album, but I mean, again, you know, all these guys, they've matured. There are new members. If I'm not mistaken, I think Johnny Davey is really the only original member. So, like, it's inevitable the sound's going to change, but still, it would be kind of cool to have some of the old stuff come back. But it is still really cool that Moon Healer, I mean, this is Job for a Cowboy's first album in 9 years. That is a very long break. I don't know about you guys. I was kind of thinking, I don't know if this band's just done. Like, I was just, honestly, that was my mindset. I don't know if anybody else thought this as well, but I'm glad that Job for a Cowboy is still continuing. They have a new album. Sure, they'll have a lot of cool stuff coming, you know, like going on this year. So I don't want to give away too many spoilers with this album. I know there have been some teasers, but I think this is the type of album you really just need to listen to it all the way through, and also give it a couple listens before you get an opinion on it. Because at least for me, when I first listened to this new album, it was like sensory overload. But after a couple listens, then like all the little tiny, you know, like individual qualities of each song started to stand out. I do want to mention a few songs though, just to kind of explain what you should be expecting with this album. The first song is Beyond the Chemical Doorway. And at least when I first heard this song, I just noticed that the riffs were just so obscure, just so weird and out there, not anything I've ever heard before. So that not only sets the bar for the rest of the song, but also for the entire album. I was also really happy that in 9 years, Johnny Davey's voice has not changed a bit. Like, the minute this song started, it's like, boom, you just recognize his vocals. He still sounds solid, so that made me really happy. I guess for the rest of this song, here's the description that I wrote, so I'm going to share it with you. The song is an enigma of otherworldly riffing, serpentine bass, and inhuman drumming. Every member stands out. So, again, there are some songs where it's like bassier, or this song might be riffier. This first song, again, it's like every member shines. There's no like too much riffing, too much bass, drumming just taking over. It's like, no, it's like every member really stands out, but it all meshes very, very well. One of the main reasons I like Moon Healer a lot more than Sun Eater is that Moon Healer, there's a lot more versatility on this album. The song is kind of a mouthful. I'm gonna have to read this off my notes. The sun gave me ashes, so I sought out the moon. Yeah, it's kind of a long title. So this song, I mean, again, there are like, kind of like what I mentioned with the last one, there are some songs that are like riffier, groovier, whatever. This is definitely one of the groovier songs. And because of it, it's the catchiest. And now, as I said, this is the grooviest song on the album. So I definitely feel like Naveen Koperweiss, and I always butcher this guy's last name, Nick Shenzelos. These, like the bass, the drums, definitely stand out more than anything else on this song. But I will say, like, there's a lot of versatility on this album in general, but it's specifically also in this song, because there's an amazing guitar solo like towards the middle, and it does kind of take a break from some of the bassier, drummier parts, but still, this song has some of the heaviest grooves in this entire album, and that's really what makes it catchy. So I do want to mention this very last song, The Forever Rot, and I want to point this one out because, as I said earlier in my review, I really wish that Job for a Cowboy included more elements of the older material in some of their newer stuff, but this song does sound more like classic Job for a Cowboy. Because like the riffs are still very obscure, the bass, like Nick's bass style is very, very prominent still. But the one thing about the song of Forever Rot is it's faster and heavier than any song on this album. And it really does sound like they went back to their death metal roots. Not necessarily the deathcore stuff, they definitely did not go back to the Doom EP, but think like Genesis. They definitely went back to that album with this song. So it's a good way, I think, to close out the album. I do wish a song like that was more like towards the beginning or the middle, but it is something that I didn't expect when I heard this last song. Again, I feel like it would have been better if it was like, you know, earlier in the album, so we kind of break away from some of the like esoteric type of sounds and, you know, musicianship and songwriting the rest of the album, but still, this song was like a really cool way to, this song was like a really cool way to end the album. I also want to mention, because I feel like I've mentioned every other member in this review, except for the guitar players, Tony Santacandro and Al Glassman. One thing I think is cool about these two guitar players is they've been with the band for a very long time. Like during the death metal period, they were still in the band, and they still adapted guitar playing to some of this kind of more obscure style that Job for a Cowboy developed, and that type of versatility and flexibility as a musician, that's very impressive. So definitely shout out to Tony and Al for their insane solos and crazy riffing and guitar playing on this album, because they definitely impressed the hell out of me. One thing I also would like to mention about the Forever Rot, because as I said, to me it does sound more like classic Job for a Cowboy, more of the Genesis era, but it does still have some of that weirdness in this song. There's some really cool effects. It sounds kind of alien. That's just, I don't know, or sci-fi or whatever. This was the vibes I was getting. But yeah, it was I don't know, it was cool. I like those little elements in albums to where like it really feels like you as a listener are engulfed in this atmosphere that, you know, the band is trying to like shove you in, you know what I mean? So I don't know, those little like effects and stuff like that. I thought it was cool. Well, thanks for checking out my review of the new Job for a Cowboy album, Moon Healer. I'm going to give this 9 out of 10. I really like this album. It is definitely what I feel like listeners have been anticipating for 9 years. The only reason I'm giving it like a point down is, again, I'm just biased. I wish they would go back to some of the older material, add some of that more into their albums, but this album as a whole is super solid. So I'm happy. I'm stoked. I'm stoked I was able to listen to it early. I'm stoked for you all to listen to it. And yeah, also stoked for what Job for a Cowboy has planned in the future, because I have a feeling, and I'm sure others can agree, that they're going to have a big year. So definitely keep on the lookout for their what they're doing. Hopefully there'll be some tours, shows, cool stuff happening with Job for a Cowboy. Moon Healer will be released February 23rd. I'm sure it's available for pre-order and all that stuff right now. But yeah, so definitely check out this new album when it comes out. Support Job for a Cowboy. Again, I'm sure they're going to be doing some awesome touring and stuff this year. So yeah, keep on the lookout for everything they're doing. And thank you again for watching. Stay metal, everyone.